next question that this is one I'm terrible with. I gotta admit, along with a couple of the other questions that I've been asking you, but strength work. How important is it, and to my regimen, and why? Because we're busy people, like we've talked about, and I'm like, isn't running enough? But but why is strength work so important?
Yeah, the big issue with runners is that we're so one-sided. We're so on the endurance side, and I think if you look at professional runners, we always look at professional runners, even though it's not to be professional runners. It's just because they're the best at human running. They're the model that what humans could possibly do. You've never seen a professional runner with big muscle bellies. They're not all jacked and buff and big. They don't look like our 100-meter sprinters at all. They look the opposite. A lot of them look emaciated sometimes. A lot of them look like maybe they skipped a meal, which isn't really true. What happens is that physiologically, oxygen transfers faster through smaller muscles. So when you take on distance running, not only do you lose fat, you lose muscle mass. And it's already been proven, you lose strength. The more mileage you run, you're actually losing strength. And people are saying, oh, I'm stronger, I can run. You're not really, your endurance stronger. Your cardiovascular system is very efficient. It's very strong. Your muscles aren't strong. In one of my science classes, we tested on the cycloergometer, which is basically a stationary bike. But then they would crank down on the wheel to make it tougher because we were measuring power output. I was one of the weakest in the class. At that time, I was a 2:29 marathoner. I was running Division II, athletics, in a really high-powered conference. And an average girl had more power output on the cycloergometer than I did. And the teacher was, he goes, this is what we're talking about. Here's a high endurance who has I had extreme high VO2 max, top of the class, of course, but I was one of the weakest in power output. And the reason why is because we're born 60-40. We're more, we have more ATP and more power when we're born, and less endurance, because endurance is something you have to work on. You're not born with endurance. You have to work on this. And so it's that work ratio, but what happens is that runners just run. And they run and they run and they run and they go all the way to the endurance part, and they lose the whole power part. I'm not saying that you should do exercise to gain power. That's not what we're doing. We're not trying to confuse the body. Remember, you don't want to work on just one thing all the time. You want to have some balance in your training. The strengthening muscle, what it does is it helps keep the soft tissue strong enough to go along for the ride with the endurance part. And then also it's part of your speed. It's part of your speed because speed is muscle. There's a difference in speed and between speed endurance. As a marathoner, you ain't gonna be killing it in the mile, and you're definitely not gonna be killing it in the quarter. So your speed, it's all relative. Again, remember, speed doesn't really mean anything. It's like, are you faster than you were before? That's all you want to be, right? So, in essence, with doing exercises, you're really trying to avoid that interruption of your consistency. You don't want to get hurt. What is plantar fasciitis? It's a weakening of foot muscles which puts too much pressure on the soft tissue, right? What is piriformis injury? It's you're constantly moving your hips and they're not strong enough to continue tens and tens and tens of thousands of contractions over time, and you haven't strengthened it. And you probably haven't stretched it either. It's
probably gotten weaker.
Yeah, it's gotten weaker. You haven't shown it any love. And of course it's going to break down. And doing strength, what it does is it keeps your posture. It allows you to keep your form. It allows you to keep your knee lift. It allows you to keep your stride length, which allows you to perform at a better rate. If you go out and you're running an 8-minute pace or you're running a 10-minute pace, you don't necessarily want to stay there. You want that 70% run, which is your distance run at about 70% of your max. You want that to do that same 70%, and now you're running 8-minute pace.
Yeah.
Now, what does that tell you? You've grown, and you haven't put any more energy in.
All right.
Same amount of energy, faster time.
Cool.
Same percentage, faster time. Well, you want that growth, but you want your body to go along with it. You don't want to have to stop because you're hurting. And you're hurting because you haven't built your machinery. You haven't done the work. And part of the strength work, it really helps for your speed development. It helps for your injury prevention. It helps for your overall health, because it's one of the components of your fitness is to be strong and be fast. So do your work, you know, do your lunges, do them correctly, work on your mechanics, build your body, and you know,
Don't
it'll
skip
help
meals
you.
either,
Yeah.
because those marathoners.
Yeah, they don't skip meals.
Yeah.
They're on a high-calorie diet. It's just when you run so much, your body, this is what your body does. Your body loves homeostasis. Homeostasis is just you want to be even. You don't want to be too hot. You don't want to be too cold. And when you're out there running, it doesn't want to carry any more weight than it has to. It's trying to be as efficient as possible. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to be efficient. And carrying weight is inefficient. And if you are consistent, you will lose what you don't need. That's what happens.
There you go. So strength train, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for covering that.
All right.
I'm gonna do my lunges.